Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I want to talk with you about negotiating salary when you're working through a recruiter. Now, most of the time, I'm a big advocate of working with a recruiter to find a position. Why? Frankly, a couple of things. The relationship with the employer that greases the skids for you getting in the door, and number two, the ease from your standpoint. After all, they handle all your scheduling, handle all the peripheral nonsense and deflect it from you, where your inexperience can distract you from the process, from seeing the employer as they should be seen. But when it gets to salary negotiation, there's an interesting dynamic, and that is the recruiter smells blood in the water, the blood being their fee, and their job is to close the deal. And that's true whether it's a retained search firm or a contingency search firm. The retained firm will talk very nicely and say, well, they won't even address it. They'll dismiss it as nonsense, but it's, everyone's working to make a living, and this isn't social work. So ultimately, they're trying to close the hire and get the position filled, just like the contingency firm. So the tendency is to push and bully very nicely or very aggressively the candidate into taking what the employer offers. I wish it weren't true, but statistics tell me this. Not the way I work. I really do try and make a match on the money, but most recruiters don't. After all, at the end of the day, you're the one transaction, and they're going to try and work with that employer for many years to come. So their natural tendency is to try and squeeze you rather than squeeze the employer. Now, when you're working through a recruiter, it's important, just like it is when you're negotiating with an employer directly, to know what your real value is. Now, sometimes your numbers may be wrong. You're talking to friends who are shooting from the hip and don't really have any data. So you need to know your data and to understand that the data reflects a range. So I'll give you an example. You're looking at a job that's 130 to 150. Or if you're a lower level individual, 60 to 70,000, or an even higher level individual, 4 to 425. Okay, it's human nature to only hear the top number, 70,000, 150, 425, and focus in on that number. And if you're offered a dime less, to say, hey, how come I didn't get all the money? After all, my value is whatever it is. At the end of the day, you want to be in the range and you want to drive it up as high as possible. So when you're working with the recruiter, you have to say things to him or her along the lines of, they've come in a touch low and I'm frankly disappointed. And I have other things going on that will come in at a better number than this. Why don't you circle back and see if they'll improve it? They'll try and probe more, and from their standpoint, the contingency recruiter is panicked, and the retained recruiter, I'm not going to project on them. I'll just simply say that they're going to try and push a little bit harder on the employer to up the number. Without that, you're basically going to be stuck with the recruiter, the headhunter, the search professional, who's going to be trying to push you into that box of the number, rather than trying to have them push back at the employer in a diplomatic way. And you need to be prepared to walk away from the situation if you take this strategy. I want to be absolutely clear about that, because they may say, she's not going to take it, or he's not going to take it, unless you up the money. In the example of the senior exec, said, look, I've said from day one 425, and they've come in at 415. I believe my value is 425, and the $10,000 difference I'm going to make for them many times over in the course of my work. And if they don't see the value, then this isn't the right place for me. And with that, you've thrown the gauntlet down to say, I'm prepared to walk away unless they hit my number. 8 times out of 10, they're going to hit the number. If they aren't, they're being foolish, and you don't want to join a company populated with fools. For the person looking at that job at 130 to 150, where you zero in on 150, you're making 125. You're probably not going to get the 150, but you got to push them up a little bit. So again, you circle back to the recruiter. This is true of the $60,000 to $70,000 job as well. You circle back to the recruiter and very calmly say, they've come in a bit short. I've got other things going on. This is a market where I can land. And, I prefer it being there, but if they don't value me sufficiently, then I'll be very happy at this next place I'm talking to. And by doing that, you're going to force them to earn their check and earn their fee. So this is Jeff Altman. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, share it, leave a comment, click the like button, do something that lets people know that it was worthwhile. Then come over to thebiggamehunter.us, watch my videos, read my content, listen to my podcasts, download free copies of some of my books. Pay what you want for them. I shouldn't say it's free. I prefer if you paid something for them. But if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. So there's a lot of content to help you with job hunting. So come over to thebiggamehunter.us and go exploring. Also want to encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. My page there is linkedin.com/in/the-big-game-hunter. I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a third-party recruiter or in a country known for scams or spam. And finally, if your current firm is trying to hire someone, send me an email at the address below. Let me know who to contact and whether I should mention your name. I'd love to help you firm staff positions. So this is Jeff Altman. Hope you have a great day. Take care.